hi everybody, it's Doug. So you will remember this American lock. I received 2 of these from a Facebook marketplace acquisition that came along with the brass Americans. And I cleaned it up in another video. You saw that as well. Works nicely. Probably, well, the mechanics work great. Probably could use to clean up the that area there so it doesn't get as sticky. But either way, works great. And we are going to do a pick and gut. Now, some of you are going to say, wait a minute, that's a Series 30. How are you going to gut this? Because a lot of you may already know that the Series 30 contains a rivet where you would expect to find a screw down the shackle hole. So, how are you going to gut it? The answer is with help of a drill. We'll actually put a drill down the shackle hole, snap that rivet out, and remove it from the bottom along with this bottom plate. That would technically leave us with a functionless lock after the gut. However, I went on to our friend eBay and picked up couple sets of these. This is the bottom security nut and a screw that will go into it, and I've also got a nice replacement plate for the bottom in silver, so that will turn this into basically the equivalent of a 5200 or a 1100, where we can actually unscrew it anytime we want, take the whole guts out. So gotta start a pick and gut with a pick first. And let's go ahead and do that. Get this locked up. Pick this a number of times, obviously. And I will tell you that it definitely has some clicking going on in there that feels, in my world, like serrations. Now, I've been wrong before, and this is I think Murloc told me this thing was manufactured in 2000 based on the date key on the side. So this is a 20-year-old lock. Saw a lot of service in that time, as you could see by the scars on its side. And basically, I could be dealing with just garbage and what's the word? Crust is the word I'll have to use because I can't think of the proper, well, calcification, I guess is what I'm talking about, that I found that may have built up on the pins. So yeah, it could be calcification, or it could be just serrations. Either way, we've got it open. Now it's time to take it downstairs and drill it out. Okay, so I am not going to try to get into the mechanics of all of this because it's already been described in great detail by some of the others out there, including, if I recall, JM Lockpicking did a video on this, but I also remember Bosnia and Bill did this. So, I mean, we're basically taking an open lock, got the rivet in there, and a drill with a 5/32 bit. And make sure I'm going the right way. Okay, that my rotation is correct. Now I just felt what I think was the rivet giving. I think that was it. I'm going to try just a little bit more just in case. Okay, yeah, I'm definitely there. Basically, I'm just going to have to punch this out with just get a, I've actually got a wood punch in there, and I will get this all set. Okay, so yeah, I was probably making up words. I said a wood punch. What I meant was a nail set. But basically, just anything that's got a pointy tip, I can get in there. And what I managed to do was to then pop that rivet out. So you can actually see that rivet. The top is now drilled off. It normally had a top that kind of looked like that. And I've done that for both. So now the ugly plate in there can be removed, and now we have full access to the guts. So there we go. Our next step is going to be to remove the circlip and take a look at the guts. That is going to be a gooky endeavor, and then later what I'll do is I'll actually clean this whole thing off, probably get some lighter fluid directly on it, clean the pins off, and put the whole thing back together. Alrighty, got all our tools for the gut, and let's begin by taking off the circlip. And that one's removed. We will get ourselves a nice shim. Actually have not got it a lock this small with these shims, so now's the time to use them. Alrighty, follower time. Okay, so we've got drilled for 6, pinned for 5. So dirty that the pins don't even settle until you tap it. They're relying on the top there, and the top springs to push things down. And let's see, this is going to be fun. Sticky. All right, little help from the key. And a follower, or the tweezers. 1. Wow, 2 holding on, 3. Okay, I'm going to stay 5. 4. I see serrations. 3 and 2 are fighting me hard. There we go, finally 2. Of course, 2 has no serrations because it is so tiny, and that's also why it fought coming out. But we've got serrations on all the rest. We'll get you a close-up momentarily. Let's see what's going on up in the Bible. This is definitely feeling dirty. Okay. Number 1. Two. Now these are they're interesting. They're serrated, but they're flat right at the bottom. Also, the fact that they're not shooting out tells me that the springs are pretty tired feeling. Empty 6. 1 barely pokes his head up in 5. And that one shot out the back. Get a look at the springs while we're here. All right. We'll come back for that other pin, but let's give you guys a look at these. And I'll throw in a couple springs so you can see. They're kind of just your, small copper springs. Okay, so basically what's left, and I'll just end up showing you the end result, is I'll put it all back together, And then I've got the new bottom plate, the lock nut that goes into it, and the screw that's going to hold it all in. Oh, and I can't forget, this eBay seller was wonderful. He even included a nice bypass or anti-bypass wafer. You guys can look up bypassing American locks, and you'll see that there's a way to get in there past the actuator and basically turn the actuator without ever involving the lock. That bypass wafer, prevention wafer, will actually stop that unless you go one step further with a wafer breaker. Won't even get into that. Okay, momentarily I'll be showing you the finished product. All right, we've got the core, the lock core put back together and the C-clip back on. So all that's left is to reassemble the whole thing. We've got the wafer going on there. Protect ourselves from bypass. And we're going to drop that entire thing into place. Of course, did I lose the wafer along the way? Yeah, of course I did. Okay, I guess the solution is to put the core in that way, upside down. All right. By the way, while I was cleaning it up, I cleaned up the face with some, well, basically I used Barkeeper's Friend, although I didn't have Brasso upstairs with me, so there we go. The new faceplate goes in, and the nut finally get that screw in place, tighten it down. This is one of those things that if you don't tighten it down enough, you get that wandering core where you're trying to pick it and the core is moving all over inside. Okay, we're cranked down. Make sure before we lock it that the key will work. Not a smart thing to do that after. And there we go. Brand new. All back together, pretty shiny face, and all set. Thanks everybody for watching. I'd love to hear your comments. Hopefully you may have even learned something from this. Mostly it was a matter of just sort of learning more about this lock. We had those serrations and all sorts of interesting things going on inside there. Thanks everybody. Comment, subscribe if you can, if you haven't already, and please like the video if you found it interesting. Thanks everybody. Take care.